Welcome back to Starting Your Investment Journey audio series. So far, we have learned a lot of foundational understanding that you need to establish before you start investing. Now, in this particular episode, it is getting more interesting. We're going to be talking about how to start investing without feeling overwhelmed. Now, we've come a long way in this series on finance and investment. We've talked about money, wealth. We've talked about different asset classes, business classes, financial instruments. We've talked about mutual fund. We've talked about inflation, risk, diversification, portfolio construction. In the last episode, we talked about rebalancing. And I know that at this point, there's a question that you will naturally start asking. Okay, now I understand all of this, but how exactly do I start? Of course, it's a fair question. It's a fair question, but that's exactly where many people get stuck. They learn a lot of things, but they don't know exactly how to apply it. And it's not because they lack knowledge, it's because they think that the next step is to choose an instrument. But in reality, it is still not the immediate next step. Most people start from what should I buy? Is it a stock, a mutual fund, a property, cryptocurrency, or something or anything? But investing is not shopping, like I established earlier. The goal is not to buy something. The goal is to build a portfolio. Never forget that. And that portfolio that I want to build is your financial system, is your wealth structure. So successful investing begins long before the first investment is ever purchased. It begins with preparation. It's just like building a house. Nobody just hits the ground and start building. You don't start with the roof. You don't start with maybe buying doors or buying maybe the ceiling. You start with the foundation. That's exactly how investment works. So what's the first step in actually starting out an investment? The first step, which is step one, is to build financial stability first. That is critical. Always build financial stability first. Before you start investing aggressively and putting all your money into shares and bonds and maybe real estate and some other things, ask yourself, can my finances survive a surprise? Now, what happens if your income stops temporarily? What happens if there is an emergency? What happens if there is an unexpected expense? So if every surprise forces you to liquidate your investment and you start looking for how to sell, then it means that your foundation is weak. And that is why stability is the first thing. Can I survive emergency? Can I survive a surprise without having to force myself to sell off my investment? If not, you should not start buying long-term investment yet. Number two, which is your second step in building your investment, is to understand your cash flow. So many people know their salary, but only a few people know their cash flow. Your cash flow simply means that the money that is coming in versus money that is going out. How much is coming in, maybe weekly or daily or monthly, and how much is going out. If nothing is left after each month, then there's nothing available for investing. So you may be earning so big, but you're also spending very big. And therefore, there's nothing left for investing. So you need to understand your cash flow. If you need to make adjustments to ensure that what is going out is way less than what is coming in, so that the difference can be invested, then you need to understand that, because investing starts with surplus. If there's no surplus, there is no investing. You can't start asking questions about investing if you don't have excess cash. The step three, invest in human capital. I can't stress this long enough. Invest in human capital. Before you start chasing investment returns, increase your earning capacity. Remember what we learned about human capital earlier. So for most people, especially for younger people, the highest investment return that you're going to get is not from any of those real estate and bonds and all of those things. It will be from improving your skill, your knowledge, your capabilities, your professional value. Because a person who doubles their earning capability often changes their financial future more than someone chasing an extra 2% investment return. So that is why it is important for you to know that investing in your human capital is very, very important. Number 4 is to define your objectives. So you ask yourself, why am I investing? What exactly is the objective? This is where many beginners begin to skip ahead and then they move into other things. Because your investment goal can influence your investment strategy. For example, are you investing for retirement? Are you investing for a house deposit? Are you investing for children's education? Or you are investing for financial independence? All of them, they involve different approaches. Your goal creates your direction. Without your goal, every investment decisions become random. And number 5 is that you should start small. Of course, many people, they want to hit the ground running and they want to go and put all their savings, they want to go and put all their eggs in one basket. But don't do that. You don't need to start with millions. Most people delay investing because they believe that they need a large amount to start. All I have is 5,000 naira. What I have is 20,000 naira. What can I do with that? You can actually do something with that, right? Investing is less about the size of the first step and more about establishing the habit. A small, consistent investor often outperforms someone who keeps waiting for the perfect time. So that is very important. When you are learning, the focus is information. But when you start investing, you discover that the focus is more on behavior. So that is why we learned about human emotions earlier. So the challenge is no longer, do I understand diversification? The challenge now becomes, can I consistently follow my plan? What I learn, when I get to practical, will I begin to do something else or will I follow what I learned, right? So that is where real investors are separated from spectators. And I can just give you this framework that instead of asking that, what investment should I buy? Why don't you ask yourself, is my financial foundation stable enough, right? Do I understand my cash flow? And am I improving on my human capital? And what exactly is my objective? And what role is my investment trying to play? I'll repeat those 5 questions again. Number 1 is that, do I have a stable financial foundation? Number 2 is that, do I understand my cash flow? And do I have something else left after every month or after every week? Number 3 is that, am I constantly improving my human capital? That is my ability to earn more. Number 4 is that, what is my investment goal? What am I trying to achieve? Financial independence, or save towards a project, or save towards retirement? And number 5 is that, what role would this investment play in my life? So if you know those questions, if you're able to answer them, you will begin to have a good understanding of investment. So you see that we are not asking that what is trending, what is everybody putting their money in. What we are asking is not what is everybody talking about. Investment is not a popularity contest though. If you lose your money, nobody will be there. You are the one that should understand investment before you begin to put your money. So the most important decision is becoming the type of person who can invest consistently for decades, because wealth is usually not built through one brilliant decision. It is built through hundreds of disciplined decisions repeated over time. So the journey from learning to investing does not begin with picking an asset. It begins with building a foundation, strong finance, clear goal, and growing your human capital, and a consistent habit. And that is exactly what is very important. So now that you know how to begin, let's now look at a case study. Let's say someone says, I have 100,000 naira. How exactly can I invest it? So that's what we're going to look at in the next episode. Thank you for listening. Again, don't ever forget, learn before you invest, build before you buy, and think long term. I will see you in the next episode.